This week in TV news, we have an update on the Yellowstone situation, finally. We have Blue Beetle TV show has been announced, and Genndy Tartovsky is blessing us with more TV animation awesomeness. And we got a little bit more to talk about, so let's jump into it. Hello, nerds! This is the weekly TV news show. Not like the evening news with Tom Brokaw. No, nothing like that. This has more to do with TV shows, nerdy-oriented TV shows, as well as episodic content that you will find on streaming platforms. If this is your kind of thing, then you can check out the full episode that I like to call The Week in Nerddom that covers all spectrum of pop culture and just generally nerdy things over on the main channel. You can find it linked down in the description or at the end of this video. All of that being said, let's talk about TV shows and nerdy stuff like that. Follow-ups and corrections. Let's get into these, shall we? I don't think we have any corrections. We do have follow-ups, though. First up is House of the Dragon has officially been renewed for a third season. Kind of expected this. We have episode 1 of season 2 out on Max right now, so go watch that. And that's what we got on that one. Next up, we have Suicide Squad Isekai finally also has a release date. The release date for this one, first 3 episodes are going to be dropping June 27th on Max and Hulu, same day, same date. And then once a week on Tuesdays when you're going to be getting new episodes of the Suicide Squad anime, and it will be finishing, the final episode will release on August 15th. So that's pretty freaking awesome there. Continuing the follow-ups, we have Yellowstone finally. Yellowstone, we have a little bit of a release window for the final half of the final season, which is 2 years postponed at this point. So the second half of season 5 is due this November. It will be without Kevin Costner because reasons. I got nothing for you. From there, though, we have AMC on Netflix. This is interesting. Continuing the conversation of streamers don't make money, we now have AMC licensing out their properties to be on Netflix. These properties are noteworthy. They include Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, Fear the Walking Dead, and Preacher. So very soon, it didn't have an exact date, I don't believe. Yeah, they're still working out the details of the situation, but these shows are headed to Netflix very soon, if not next month, then probably the month following. And this has happened before on Netflix, so don't expect them to stay on the platform. They'll probably be there for a very limited amount of time. So if you haven't watched them, and you really should, because they're all good stuff. And the list is a little bit longer, but those are kind of the big nerdy ones that were noteworthy. So go check out the list. Go watch these shows when they are up on Netflix, because again, they are freaking awesome. That's what we got there for follow-ups and corrections. Let's talk about some regular ass news for the week. First up is the Blue Beetle situation. Apparently there is an animated series in the works for the Blue Beetle franchise that is going to be a continuation of the Xolo Mariduena starring movie that we just got last year that was very mediocre. I like what they did with Jaime. I just don't really like a lot of the stuff that around Jaime, specifically the family characters, because they were all garbage. But Jaime was awesome because Jaime is always awesome. Anyway, we're getting off on a tangent. So new animated series in the works. We have Miguel Puga will be the showrunner, and you'll know his name if you follow the credits on Futurama, the Looney Tunes Show, Fairly Oddparents. His list of nerdy credits is actually quite a bit longer than that, but those were kind of the biggest ones. We also have Manuel Soto, who directed the movie, and Gareth Dunnet-Alcocer, I think is how that's said. My apologies for my stupid tongue. He was the writer for the movie. Those two guys are going to be attached to this project as executive producers. Now, it is no secret there is a little bit of turmoil behind the scenes as far as the Blue Beetle situation is concerned around the live action. So, will Xolo Mariduena be returning to voice the character in the animation? That is still up in the air. But if we go on what James Gunn has said in the past, he has said that the actors playing them in live action will also be the actors who voice them in animation, because these characters are going to be consistent throughout all mediums. save for maybe comic books. But yes, consistent throughout all motion mediums. So that would lend us to believe that they're trying to get Xolo to come in and do the voice, but if he doesn't sign a new contract, then they got to find somebody else, right? So that is where we're at with the Blue Beetle. Next up, we have a one that I'm kind of interested to see because of its ties to my other profession as a chef. Anthony Bourdain had a comic book called Get Jiro, maybe? Because it's Asian, so it's not a soft J. Don't know exactly how the name is pronounced, but Jiro. It is now being turned into an animated series over on Adult Swim. It's based on, again, Anthony Bourdain's comic book with Joel Rose, and it's going to be it's in development from Brian Gatewood and Alessandro Tanaka. The story is futuristic LA where master chefs dominate and people kill for top dining spots. Plot follows Hiro, a sushi master navigating a violent culinary world to seek revenge. No release date has been provided as of yet. So that's pretty freaking cool, because Anthony Bourdain was an amazing human being, and you should watch all of his food shows because they're not just about food, they're about life, and it's beautiful, and watch it. From there, though, we have Genndy Tartovsky is coming back. You should know that name. If you are a fan of art, if you are a nerd who watches animated things on Adult Swim, if you just generally like samurai-related things or dinosaur-related things, then this is a name you know, or Star Wars-related things, and this is a name you know because this is the guy that was behind Samurai Jack. This is the guy that's behind Primal. This is the guy that was behind the first animated Clone Wars series of shorts. He also did Dexter's Laboratory, I found out fairly recently. I don't know why I didn't know that before, but I didn't know that before. So, also awesome. But he has a new show coming to Adult Swim. It's called Heist Safari. It's going to be 10 episodes, so very likely it's going to be a completed story in those 10 episodes. It will follow 3 estranged frog brothers who must pull off a bank heist to inherit their father's fortune. Complications arise as they seek help from a Japanese Yakuza tiger, a Russian mafia hippo, and an Italian guerrilla mobster. With wildebeest police in pursuit, the show will feature episodes told out of order with an EDM soundtrack. So the soundtrack is going to be a lot of dance music. It's going to be very anachronistic, probably in the same vein of Samurai Jack. If you watch Samurai Jack, it seems like this is going to have a very similar feel to that, though very different subject matter. So yeah, Genndy Tartovsky is always a win. Let's move on. From there, that's actually all we have for regular ass news. That brings us into suggestions for the week. Assuming you watched The Boys last week, because, I mean, why wouldn't you? This week's suggestion is House of the Dragon. If you have not watched season 1, absolutely catch up. The best way is to watch all of the episodes and not watch the recap that they give you at the beginning of season 2, but if you must, then watch the recap. But absolutely, first episode of House of the Dragon season 2 does not disappoint, though it still feels like it's a lighter version of Game of Thrones. Just saying. Either way, that is your suggestion for the week. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.